Mr. Haridopolos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to wave on today. As many might know, I chair the subcommittee on space, and I really appreciate your thoughtful comments today. I'm learning every day. I want to focus in on our relationship with the PRC and understand where we're at. It's pretty exciting to see that what a lot of people thought was science fiction just maybe a generation ago is becoming a reality in a positive way. But we're also concerned about some of the things that the Chinese are doing in space. As you know, it's so important for our power grid, communications, GPS, you name it. And we see some nefarious things the Chinese candidly are doing in space. And so the question I have for you is, where are we cooperating with the Chinese? Where can we improve that without risking our national security? So, Director Bingen, if you wouldn't mind answering that question, and I'd like to move on to Dr. Pace as well.
So let me first say, sir, I think China is the most consequential threat and competitor to us in space. At the same point in time, you go back to the Cold War, we still figure out a way to talk to the Soviets, to reduce risks, to reduce miscalculation. I think there's a near-term opportunity here for us to engage in some sort of dialogue with China, and I'd say it should be focused around space safety. China is in the process of putting up several versions of their Starlinks, thousands of satellites. The way that if there's just to put it in real terms, if there is a risk today of a collision course between a Chinese satellite and a US satellite, the approach we take today is an email, and we hope that the Chinese answer it. That's not a good strategy, and it puts all the accountability and the actions on US operators. They now have much more skin in the game. We need to figure out a way to talk with them on just reducing the risk of collisions. I think that's a good way to start. But I'd also say we don't just talk for talking's sake. They have to meaningfully come to the table.
Dr. Pace, if you could add to that, please.
Thank you. There is a number of areas, I think, following on that comment about exchanging information. To put it really basic terms, we need basically direct machine-to-machine discussions between SpaceX, Starlinks, Amazon Leo, OneWeb, and the Chinese counterparts. We don't have that yet, variety of political barriers to it, but the actual operators need that kind of direct information because doing an email and hoping for an answer is just simply too slow. So we need to find a way to get to that kind of exchange. We have some cooperation with China now to deconflict around Mars. We deconflict around space stations. We don't really deconflict around the moon yet. That is an area of increasing activity we're going to need to talk about. I think that there are a number of areas where we can do science cooperation with China, biomedical experiments, sample exchanges, and so forth. Having said that, I will also say that I'm still a supporter of the Wolf Amendment. I think that it's perfectly reasonable to ask that we clear who we're working with on the Chinese side, that there be something of mutual interest. I understand some people don't like it because it's a symbolic sort of statement. On the other hand, I don't think it's a fundamental barrier to doing things that are clearly in our mutual interest. So while sticking with that and recognizing others can disagree, I think there are a number of things that we can still do, as we did with the Soviets, but recognize who we're dealing with.
Ms. Stewart, if you would comment as well.
Absolutely agree that there are numerous areas we could actually coordinate or at least communicate with China regarding outer space stability and security. I think China equally relies on the lower Earth orbit and would be challenged by intentional creation of debris in the same way that our assets are challenged. And I think we've seen their evolution of anti-satellite testing go from a 2007 test that created 4,000 pieces of debris to a subsequent test of what we expect was a similar system not creating any debris. So they've evolved to understand that intentional creation of debris is a challenge. And I think if we could coordinate or communicate the threat perceptions we see in the outer space arena in a way that doesn't disadvantage us, in a way that doesn't advantage them, but in a way that equally recognizes our mutual reliance on that arena, we could work together to hopefully prevent Russia's program to place a nuclear weapon in outer space and to work to eliminate or at least diminish the intentional creation of debris.
Thank you. And the last question for Director Bingen is that do we have any confidence in the Chinese, given some of the things they're already trying to do in space, where they've shown there are any goodwill gestures they're making at this point other than rhetoric?
Well, I think the recent era where the Chinese communication to NASA saying they were going to maneuver one of their satellites and told us, you guys don't move or move around you, that was certainly a good first step. A fundamental problem I think that we have with China is that they want to have a political agreement first before they'll engage in some of these lower level norm setting. And I think we'd like to build confidence from bottom up, norms and exchanges before getting to some sort of larger agreement. I think the reality of the Chinese large constellations and their own self-interest are going to, I think, hopefully drive them toward a more practical discussion. But as long as they hold out a requirement that we sign up for some unenforceable arms control agreement, I don't think we're really going to get very far. So the sooner that we can get to reality, I think, with them, the better.
Thank you, Dr. Basin. Mr. Chairman, thanks again for the opportunity to serve today.